Days of Our Lives, Kristen and Xander, oh so sexy and smoldering or way too naughty and nasty? Salem, USA, Creative Culture Desk. In the long, lusty history of daytime drama, there has always been a fine line between a romance that sets the screen on fire and one that simply sets off alarm bells. Right now, Days of Our Lives is dancing, or rather, grappling, on that very line with the unexpected and explosive pairing of Kristen DiMera, Stacey Heideck, and Xander Kuriakis, Paul Telfer. What began as a tactical, hate-fueled collision of two of Salem's most dangerous personalities has erupted into a series of bedroom romps that have split the soap's passionate fandom straight down the middle. On one side, viewers see Kristen and Xander as the sexiest, most smolderingly dangerous duo to hit the sheets since the glory days of Vegas hotel heists. On the other, a gratuitous, aggressive, and offensive betrayal of both character and taste. This isn't just a love scene debate. It's a referendum on what we want from our villains, and why we can't look away. The chemistry crucible. Fire or fright? The debate ignited recently after a particularly intense encounter at the Salem Inn, the town's favorite locale for secrets and silk sheets. Kristen and Xander, who have built a grudging respect out of mutual manipulation, met for what can only be described as a hostile entanglement. Fans who defend the pairing see nothing less than alchemy. They ooze chemistry, wrote one supporter on a popular soap forum. It's not sweet, it's not supposed to be, it's fire, lust, and two people who finally met their match. Smoldering doesn't even cover it. This camp argues that both characters are survivors, predators who understand power dynamics in a way that Salem's good guys never could. When Xander growls and Kristen smirks, they aren't making love, they are negotiating a truce with their bodies. It's raw, adult, and unapologetically primal. But the opposing side recoils. These viewers describe the same scenes as too aggressive, shocking, and generally in poor taste. For them, the line between passionate and violent has been blurred beyond recognition. During one romp, the passion was so physically intense that Kristen severely injured Xander, a plot point that has become the lightning rod for the entire controversy. This isn't sexy danger, a critic tweeted. This is watching two unstable people act out trauma as foreplay. It's gratuitous and honestly offensive to viewers who know the difference between kink and cruelty. The injury, they argue, wasn't an accident. It was a symptom of a relationship that glorifies harm as passion. The Gwen-shaped wrecking ball complicating the moral math is the ghost of Gwen Riachek, Emily O'Brien. Gwen is ostensibly Kristen's friend, and, more awkwardly, Xander's something. The current setup is a classic soap triangle with a razor-sharp edge. Xander is somewhat involved with Gwen, though their relationship status is intentionally nebulous. Here is where Xander's actions cross from anti-hero to outright heel for many fans. Gwen had made her feelings clear. She wanted more than a no-strings-attached arrangement. She had caught feelings. And Xander, fully aware of this vulnerability, slept with her anyway. Then, immediately after, he turned around and continued his secret, violent affair with Kristen. This isn't just cheating. It's emotional negligence. The fans who find the Kristen-Xander scenes way too naughty and nasty point to this as proof that the storyline lacks a moral compass. It's not the sex that's offensive, argues a longtime viewer. It's the cruelty. Xander knows Gwen is falling for him. He knows Kristen is a sociopath. He doesn't care. That's not smoldering. That's just nasty. Conversely, the pro-chemistry camp shrugs. Xander is a former mercenary. Kristen is a former nun turned kidnapper. Why would anyone expect them to be nice? They see the Gwen complication not as a flaw, but as the necessary fuel. The potential for Gwen to inevitably find out is the dramatic engine. Without the betrayal, there is no soap. The body count of consent. Perhaps the most creative and uncomfortable layer of this debate is how the show is using physical intimacy as a weapon. The scene where Kristen severely injured Xander during their bedroom romp has been dissected frame by frame. Supporters frame it as dark comedy and power play. Kristen doesn't do anything softly, one fan laughed. Of course she broke him. That's the joke. They argue the show is deliberately exaggerated, operating in a heightened reality where a dislocated shoulder is just another Tuesday. Detractors see no humor. They argue that framing an injury during sex as a steamy plot point trivializes real-world issues of consent and safety. It's shocking in the worst way, wrote a critic. It's not playful. It's a red flag the show is treating like a party streamer. At its core, the Kristen-Xander divide is about the evolution, or devolution, of the soap opera anti-hero. 10 years ago, a pairing this volatile would have been unthinkable as a lead romantic story. Today, Days of Our Lives is betting that viewers want their villains to stay villainous, even in bed. The creative risk is real. If the show leans too far into the naughty and nasty, it risks alienating the audience that stays for the romance. If it sanitizes Xander and Kristen, it betrays their very nature. The genius, or the failure, is that the show refuses to judge them. It simply presents the fire and asks us to decide if we want to get burned. So, where does the truth lie? Perhaps in the ratings, and in the furious, passionate, and endlessly creative arguments happening on social media every afternoon. Kristen and Xander are not a comfortable couple. They are a question. And depending on your answer, they're either the hottest thing on daytime, or a warning about how far is too far. In Salem, no one does too much quite like these two. And no one can look away.